All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Aussies taking over the NBA. Episode 35. We're going to week 1.5 or
Yeah,
halfway through week one. Obviously, wrapping all of the Aussie games for the week so far. And big opener, big blockbuster opener in the East, Philly and the Celtics. And Boston got away with the win. And Philly really didn't turn up for the night as a bit of a whole team. But Ben Simmons, he started where he left off, didn't he?
yeah, what a beast.
What an absolute behemoth. 19 points, 15 boards, 8 assists, 4 steals, 2 block. This dude is playing 2K against amateurs. Like, he is a machine. So good defensively. Just locks down so many players. He's getting much better.
Defensively, I think we said that he needed to take some strides forward and he needed to work on that because I think locking in on the defensive end is going to help that team
massively.
really get a roll on, especially with Embiid and with the way their roster's constructed now with Muscala and Chandler. They haven't played yet, but I think that's going to help them a lot if he really locks in with Covington. If they can lock down the perimeter, I think they're going to get a lot of transition points.
Yeah, a lot of steals, a lot of transitions, and they've got a couple of good pocket pinches in McConnell and Covington as well. Even Fultz is pretty long.
Yeah, man, he is. He's a pretty good defender too. Like,
he gets you good defense.
6'5", I think he is.
Little bit foul trouble today against the Magic, but Philly, Joel Embiid obviously had a relatively good game. Covington struggled in that game. I think he really couldn't get his shot going. Fultz was a little bit off, but again, he's just starting. Like, this is the start of his career. He's got flashes of brilliance. He's getting his shot back, and there's a lot to work on. And you know, when Redick's shooting pretty much under 40%, you're having a bad night. It was 2 from 8 from 3. You know, if Redick's doing that, there's very little chance you're going to win.
Yeah.
Our bench really just didn't turn up against Boston. And I don't know if that's because Boston are fantastic perimeter defenders, or the fact that we just weren't able to knock down shots. But
what's your thoughts on Reddy coming off the bench in the second half?
I like it. I actually, it makes sense. I think that Simmons and Fultz have to learn to play together. I think 'cause this is the trio of the team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that Brett Brown's really smart. He knows he's going to make the playoffs. He knows he's got a team to make the playoffs. You got 82 games to do it. You could do this for half the season, and if you get on 50%, all right, let's get JJ Redick back into the start, and you're going to up your production that way. But I think as you see against the Magic today, it worked quite well. He's still hitting shots left, right, and center, but he ended up with 16 points. McConnell was somewhat quiet, but a little bit productive. Amir Johnson's having a really good season.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good actually.
Defensively, coming off the bench and taking Embiid's bench minutes.
He looked a lot more versatile than he did last year. Like he's doing a little bit more defensively. He's handling the ball a little bit more in the post as opposed to last year. Kind of was a defender and a lob threat. That was basically about it.
Yeah, he's a skillful dude and a great pickup as a 7-foot backup center at $2 million vet salary. So really nice that he is sticking with Philly.
But I think you make a good point about Fultz and Simmons. With Redick, they're going to get only maybe 2 more years out of him. He's 34. So obviously, I think you're right, actually. It's a good idea to get Fultz and Simmons playing together as much as possible and just, fuck it. Just let them play. Let them try and play and
let them figure out where they
got the time and the space to do that during this season, working it out, like tinkering with the lineup. You don't always have to start Redick. You don't always not have to start Redick. Like, you could bring him in whenever you feel like.
He plays 27 minutes, and if he gets 30 points, you've won the game pretty much.
Yeah.
And so Fultz has some things to learn. I think he still gets a little bit of trouble in the lane, getting a little bit tied up. And shooting through traffic or trying to shoot through traffic instead of kicking. But again, he's young. He'll learn.
Yeah.
And Philly's really behind him. The team loves him. Everyone in Philly loves him, man. Like, he can do no wrong. They just wanted to see him shoot and get back to what potentially he was in college, which was a fantastic knockdown shooter. But, I think the Philly defended quite well. I think Boston just got lucky. Kyrie had a really bad game. He's actually had a really bad season.
Yeah.
Start to the season so far.
He doesn't have to really exert himself at the start of the season as much. And Hayward as well. I think Hayward's kind of got the personality that he needs to get back into this team and really get back into a flow. He's got Tatum and Brown who can both take his minutes, basically.
Yeah.
So he's got
Baines
a lot
even,
more.
Technically.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. He has a lot more to try and get on the treadmill and get running for.
Yeah.
Whereas Kyrie Irving doesn't really need to. Like, he's always going to be that starting point guard.
Yeah. Although Scary Terry's pretty good.
Well, I think Kyrie's still got the personality to just back, like, oh, if that's what you want to do, no worries. Like, I won't start then. Like, I feel like if it came to that, Kyrie would have the personality that, yep, no worries. If I'm coming off the bench, I'm coming off the bench. But I don't think it's going to get to that. Like, it's kind of like Horford and Baines last year when I think it was Monroe, was starting. And then he just stopped starting for Baines, basically. And it kind of disappeared. And then Baines was just getting the start the entire time. And you wouldn't look at that lineup and go, oh, yeah, Baines, why is Baines starting? Like, why is he starting? That doesn't make sense. Like, it just fit. It was just there. It fit. Tatum at the 2, Brown switching at the 3, and then Kyrie as well playing at point guard. Like, it just fit. So I think all of them have got like a versatile mentality to just chop and change. It's just that Hayward factor where it feels like it's trying a bit hard, man. Trying a bit hard to fit.
If he fell off the face of Boston, I don't think they'd be.
No, it wouldn't matter. If he got swallowed up, it would not matter at all.
So they've got some decisions about who they're going to keep and who they're going to let go, I think, at the end of this season. But Baines had a really productive game. Hit a couple of threes, good off the boards, and a couple of assists. So you're going to get productive minutes out of Baines the whole time. He's such a good veteran player. He knows exactly what to do. He's a big man that takes up a lot of space. But against Embiid, I think, Embiid was shooting over the top. Embiid's a beast of his own. We don't really know exactly how good he is going to be. He seems to just be improving all the time.
I thought they both played quite well on Embiid, like especially Tatum as well when he was playing at the 4 with Baines at center. They're smart doubles on Embiid, and that's the time where that's when you can get to Embiid is when he slows it down in the post a little bit, and sometimes he gets trapped in that mentality of just slowing it down in the post a little bit. It hurts the team a little bit. But I think as a coach, you're going to look for that as that's pretty much his only weakness. Like he slows it down in the post a bit. And if you're Embiid, like that's a tiny weakness. That's the smallest weakness. Oh, he slows it down in the post a bit. Like what for the rest of the game, like he's pretty much unstoppable, like unguardable in the lane. Any room, pretty much going to the basket, and he's going to score every time, pretty much. So, but I also feel they get to him a little bit mentally, especially in Boston.
He does. He's quite funny. I always like to hear what Embiid says mic'd up. He says some pretty funny shit.
Yeah, but I think that's just how he is.
Yeah, he's a good variant. He's good to watch on and off the court.
And some players really cave to that, and I think Embiid not necessarily like he doesn't mentally cave to it, but I think it does affect him a little bit in the fact that that's what he loves, and he really likes to get in to the opposition and really get verbal and get into them.
Yeah.
But I think, as time goes on, it's going to develop a nice, healthy sort of rivalry with that, which I think will be really important for both franchises sort of going forward as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because they're both kind of the future of the East, although the Raptors are looking pretty good. All right, we'll move on to the next game, which was a Milwaukee game, but unfortunately none of the Aussies played. Thon still nursing that knee, and Delhi has pretty much been relegated to third tier.
Yeah.
Bucks did take that game Antetokounmpo looking pretty much like he could be an MVP run this year.
Yeah.
Crazy. But Kemba Walker had a really good game, 41 points.
Yeah.
And
missed that game winning, but fuck.
Yeah.
Missed that game,
unlucky. Some tight games, and it was a very entertaining game to watch. But yeah, Antetokounmpo, he just gets into spaces, and he's the Embiid factor. Unstoppable with pretty much 10 feet.
Any kind of downhill move, and he's just untouchable, unstoppable. It's crazy. And obviously Coach Bud's saying you got to shoot threes, which I think in theory is important. It's going to make people respect him on the perimeter. Yeah. Which will be important to opening up the floor. And
well, this is the same Simmons thing. If Simmons ever shot threes or ever got to the point where he's comfortable enough to shoot threes, Philly would put on another 20 points a night because it opened up the lane for cutting. No one would be able to double team Embiid because they essentially use Simmons to take away for that double team.
Yeah.
If they throw the ball in because they know it's not going to kick it back out and he's not going to shoot. So it's that same thing. It makes you a much more respectable player. And he's a potential MVP candidate along with Anthony Davis as well.
Is that Giannis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just he's so freaky dimensionally. Like he's so long, and yet I don't think the speed that he plays at represents how long he is. Like if you look at Simmons, the way his body is compact, it's kind of like LeBron, where
they're
the
6'10",
speed that they play
they play as a 6'2".
Kind of really feels like it's a guard, whereas I don't know if I see that with Giannis. Like I don't feel like
it's the weirdest
he's playing at that pace. Like it feels like there's almost not quite enough space for him to just do things.
It almost feels like his shot is above the rim when he shoots. Like it's so long.
Yeah.
Very weird,
but
strange dimensions, but it seems to be working.
Well, I think with a proper coach, that team obviously is going to be a lot better because, but like a stupid way to word it, but Bud's going to go, right, we're going to get buckets for Antetokounmpo here. Like, and first thing you do is get people out of the way. The other thing you do is get him passing a lot more. The other thing you do is get people who can knock down shots. So they've done that, and he is passing a lot more, and he is trying to do more different things. I just feel like sometimes it just doesn't feel right. Like it feels weird watching him play like that.
It's almost like Embiid playing as a point guard.
Yeah.
It's like that lanky kind of like, he can shoot threes, he can pass, he can back down, he can do all that kind of stuff. But you'd remiss to see him playing as a guard. He plays as a center, and that's the kind of thing. Antetokounmpo doesn't really play well as a center. He plays well as that power forward, that point forward, like Ben Simmons. But Ben Simmons just looks like a guard.
Yeah,
at 6'10",
and he's quick and compact, and that's how he moves. He's swift. Whereas I don't feel like Antetokounmpo's not quite. Whether he'll be there, he's not quite at that swiftness, but especially handling the ball. But it doesn't really matter because they got a decent coach who's going to get people out of his way.
10 feet out.
Yeah, 7 feet. He's getting to the hoop and dunking no matter what. Chris Middleton played pretty well. He had 19 points, and Bledsoe as well. I think he's going to benefit from the space as well from getting out of Antetokounmpo's way. He's gonna, and then Lopez as well, 14 points. Ilyasova looks pretty good for them as well. It's a good pickup.
Always standard with Ilya. He's always pretty good. Well, Delhi from my mind to get real minutes. I think potentially resting players, or if there's injury, he's essentially injury covered now.
Yeah,
that's unfortunately what has come to for Delhi. But hopefully he can break his way back into the team.
Yeah, I think it's a long season, and
he'll get some game time. It's just I think he's going to get some trash minutes.
The problem is he's not a knockdown shooter as well. I think his game is more about all round point guard play. And
it's a traditional point guard. It's like it's a KD if you're an NBL fan style point guard. They're not going to knock down shots, but they're going to dish everywhere and run the offense pretty effectively. The one thing about Delhi, he's a fantastic defender. Yeah. He's such a pest.
Yeah.
And maybe some of his lateral movement isn't great at the moment with some of his injuries, but he's coming back from it, and hopefully he gets back into it soon.
Even DiVincenzo,
he looks a bit of a bust.
No, I think he's
not Trey Bust, although Trey Bust had a good game.
He fits, but he's not quite the piece.
He's raw.
That fits. I think that's where. But the other thing is he can knock down shots. So it's like you can mitigate everything else that's wrong with him by just saying, okay, we're getting you out of the way, Giannis, to stand in the corner and knock down a shot, and you're useful now.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at Delhi and he's not like Delhi needs to to get the ball, use the ball, pass the ball, move around, run plays. Like you wouldn't see Delhi as a spot up shooter in this system. Like he has more tools to his game. And then you've got obviously Bledsoe and Brogdon, who are both, in my opinion, like better and more athletic.
Yes.
So there's two tiers, but I think he, like for a bench guy, like if he just, parks his ego and says, no worries, I'll be third string weight, see if there's some injuries, I think he could get a spot back in this rotation.
Back in the game.
He's played a few garbage time minutes in some of the other games. So
he's still got 2 years left on his
contract. The other thing is, I don't know where Thon fits in this team, eh?
No.
It's like he's not versatile enough to play that defensive forward, but at the same time, I'm not sure if he's versatile enough to play as a guard and knock down shots. Like, I think he can knock down shots.
Yeah, but
I don't know if he's reliable to do that.
No, it's probably a 33% perimeter shooter.
Yeah.
He's best in a team where he can space the floor and rim protect. If their center's a bit lumbersome and cumbersome, he's a fantastic rim protector, and I think that's where he really shined in that Boston series last year.
But they were playing a very narrow game then. Very
and they were
narrow, able to stand around under the hoop. I don't think they're playing that type of game under Coach Bud, so it'll be interesting to see how it fits. He's got that knee trouble, so I think he'll be out for a few more games.
Indeed.
As he gets back into it.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, the
Timberwolves versus the Spurs.
Timberwolves. Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Buckets played this game, so there must be some new love there or something.
What a weird scenario, man. Imagine that, spending all your off-season just ragging everyone. Being like, I'm going to leave.
Carl Anthony Towns just does not take anything seriously. I hate everyone. I want to go to the Knicks, and now I'm playing for the Timberwolves. Everyone's like, we don't really want you. Sorry.
Weird,
you're just not worth that, buddy.
But
anyway, they won. They didn't.
Spurs won this game. Spurs, I watched this game this morning, man. The Spurs just said, right, we're going after Carl Anthony Towns. We're going to throw Jakob Poeltl at him. We're going to throw LaMarcus Aldridge at him. Then we're going to throw Pau Gasol at him. Then we're going to throw LaMarcus Aldridge at him again. It was just, they just feasted inside, man. It was good to watch. I thought LaMarcus Aldridge played really well.
He's not a max extend dude, Carl Anthony Towns.
Oh, well, look at where their franchise is, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they can attract really good free agents for big money. And it's not like they've got a lot of good picks coming through that they can throw money at.
No.
I think that's a lot of where Jimmy Butler's not happy with this team, is that they've thrown money at Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins when they haven't done anything. And what's the point of him? Well, what's the point of Butler being there when Wiggins is like the same player as him?
Yeah.
And then he's on big money. Jimmy Buckets is 28 and should be on that money. Like, it's just a weird thing that.
Yeah.
And then Coach Tibbs is really high on Jimmy Buckets because he's the culture glue guy.
Yeah.
And the rest of the guys are like, I'm getting paid. Like, I don't care. I don't really need to try that hard. Like, I'm getting paid. Who cares? Type of thing.
Yeah.
But I thought that, like, the T-Wolves played all right. They didn't, wasn't great, but I still felt like Spurs throwing all those bodies at Karl Anthony Towns really early on allowed DeRozan to take over that game down the stretch, because the T-Wolves played well going down the stretch. They tightened the game up, and then it was just basically DeRozan took over in the last, 15 minutes of the game. And, man, he looks so smooth, really, really good to see him. I don't think he's going to be what Kawhi is to Toronto, in that DeRozan's not going to be as good as that for
He's
Spurs,
not a two-way
man.
player. He's a good.
He's not.
He's not a two-way player. He's definitely a good guard. He's a good shooting option, but Kawhi can defend 1 to 4. Effectively, and you just miss that. Whereas DeRozan could potentially tries hard, but most will not be able to guard most small forwards. So Paddy, again, didn't get the start Bryn Forbes did.
And Bryn Forbes looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Paddy's getting a bit older. He's the longest
undersized. Tenured Spur. Okay. Like, he's now the longest tenured Spur. Like, think about that, man. Yeah. Losing Duncan
Parker
Ginobili. Like, he's now the longest. Like, you couldn't even think about that sort of thing happening. Like, it just doesn't feel right that he's the longest tenured Spur. But it's great for him. He's in his 10th year.
He'll see his career out there. I dare say he'll be on vet min by the end of this. He'll get a vet min contract. I think he'll get looked after quite well there in the years to come. LaMarcus played really well. I think he's going to have another good career year.
Paddy played 30 minutes. He had 2 of 7 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 boards, an assist. Turnover, pretty bad turnover. He just dropped the ball stone cold in front of Teague, who ran down and scored. I think, like, he fits the Spurs system, but he doesn't have the size, man. And that's something that really detracts from their system.
He's of a different generation where a 6'1" point guard would be okay. Like you may be up against 6'3", 6'4".
Well, I think Forbes is 6'4", and I think that's where
you've got to start as a guard. I think Steph Curry.
And now I think that's where, unless you're a Steph Curry, like, you're at a really elite level, and you can get away with that type of thing. Well, 6'3", Bryn Forbes is, but it's just becoming like these gladiator type guys who do everything, rather than small guards, big forwards.
Yeah.
So, but I thought he played all right anyway. Quite. Well, he played 30 minutes. So did Forbes. Played 30 minutes as well. So he must have played a little bit of shooting guard as well. Only 6 points, but a +1 on the night. The Timberwolves, they put up a lot of shots. They just crazy amount of shots. Yeah. They combined, so it was Teague, Wiggins, Butler, and Deng off the bench combined for 61 shots on 29 made baskets, so 47%. And then Towns only took 4 of 6. So they just monstered him, man. And it was LaMarcus. They were just throwing LaMarcus and then Pirtle and then Pau Gasol and then back to LaMarcus. They were just destroying Towns the entire time. So I think that's where the Spurs this season might get some teams like that. They might just throw their bigs at him the entire time. But I think as the season goes on, that's going to wear out. People are going to realize, oh, right, you're just throwing your bigs at us. We'll just go small and fast and try and get them off the floor.
I think in a very jam-packed West, they may struggle to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
As we did predict that they could be,
you did.
Well, I did, sorry. I did.
Well, I had them over. Balls. I had them over, so you had them under, I think.
I did. I had them a little bit under. But I think just jam-packed. I don't think they're going to get the right things. Let's move on to the Jazz and the Kings. Man, the Jazz look fucking amazeballs.
Yeah.
Ingles is a beast.
Man, he's so good,
He's such a good shooter. Fuck me.
His all-round game is so underrated. So
he can run the offense. His dishes are very, very good. He kicks the ball out well, drives in, kicks really well, but he just knocks down 4 from 6.
Selfless player, yeah.
He's selfless, and 4 steals. He tends to pickpocket. I don't understand how this guy can pickpocket anyone. It's like the slowest player on the court, but somehow he does it. I just think he's probably the most intelligent player in the team. In terms of his basketball IQ is much higher than anyone. I think a lot of the guys are raw talent and play really well on the system.
He's like the heartbeat of that team. Yeah, I think he really is like the heartbeat of their team. And he's got the personality that all of them really feed off of, because you have to have that kind of personality, the happy-go-lucky, just trying to get everything done personality, to really glue together a team like that, because they've got so many different options. Yeah,
avenues.
And then he knocks down shots. Like shooting is fantastic, and getting to the rim, knocking down shots. He's a great player to watch. I really enjoy.
I think he could potentially hit the best knockdown shooter this year, just with the way he's going. Him and Covington, probably the two best at just catch and shoot players. Really amazing.
Really, on the same tier as someone like a Clay or someone like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Clay started terrible this season.
Yeah, he'll come back. He will. But
someone you always we said about kick it, where you just look at him and you're just he's going to knock this down, bang, knocks it down.
Just
every time he's wide open, he's going to knock down that shot, which is important for this Jazz team. But Exum, this is so good to see. Exum is playing some decent minutes and playing well. Yeah, very nice pipe opener for him for sure. Yeah, 13 points. Fuck, he gets to the rim very easily. He's like that Donovan Mitchell. He's so long. He is almost like a Markelle Fultz in his length. He's a really long dude, quick. But can also shoot the 3 ball at a fairly decent rate. But he was running the offense very well, taking minutes away from Rubio, who had a pretty woeful game actually. Only had 1 point in 19 minutes. So really good. Plus 21 on the night. The Kings looked fairly decent this game. I think De'Aaron Fox looked good, shot well. They've kind of got nothing to lose, though. They've got nothing to lose.
They're just a young team that's just going to play. There's no expectations on them. And they played fairly well. But I think, the Jazz have just got a far superior team. We didn't see Grayson Allen this game, though, which was interesting. We got to see him a lot in preseason. He played very well, but not getting a start in the rotation.
That's all right. There's no rush to bring him out. I think he's a kind of a cherry on top type of young guy that they can just put into the game. Knockdown shooter, I think it'd be a lot easier for them to insert him into the lineup rather than having to rely on throwing him out there all the time.
Yeah, he doesn't need
for
potentially
a young guy.
The minutes. But yeah, Joe Ingles, what a absolute behemoth.
Yeah, so the game, Sacramento went out to a 16-point lead early. And then by the halftime, they were down by 13. So it's just a Sacramento.
I did too, though. Utah didn't score anything early on, but then it was just boom, 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 boom.
And that's where I think, Utah have now developed that really quick scoring, getting a roll on type of offense where they can score quickly, because they were traditionally like a long shot clock team.
Yeah.
Before Hayward left, it was long shot clock. Use all the shot clock. Like you watch their highlights, and every time like you saw a highlight of them, it'd be 3, 2, 1 on the shot clock, and then knock down a shot. Like it was hard to watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a fast tempo.
Nah. Whereas now I think they're getting the benefit of playing that long shot clock game baked into a faster system with more angles and more wrinkles and better players. Joe Ingles on the ball, then Dante Exum cutting to the hoop.
Much
Donovan
faster.
Mitchell can shoot the three.
Donovan Mitchell and Exum and even Ingles, they're fantastic in transition. Their fast break points would be really up there, especially Mitchell. Mitchell's such a good, quick player and can get to the rim willy-nilly.
Quinn Snyder said that they had a lot of speed. The Kings play with a lot of speed, and that's kind of what undid the Jazz a little bit. They came out flat. So I would look for teams to play them with speed, but I don't know if there are many teams in the league that can play like that, apart from the top tier teams like the Warriors or maybe Houston or something like that.
Warriors, Houston, Boston.
Yeah,
Boston, potentially Philly.
Toronto as well.
Maybe Toronto. I dare say, with the starting lineup, maybe Dallas. But Dallas doesn't have a really deep bench, and I think that's where they're going to get caught out.
Dallas were a bit poor against the Suns. We'll move on to the Suns.
Yeah. Brokoff hitting exactly what he was meant to do. 4 minutes, 3 points, 1 from 3.
Yeah.
It's just signed to knock down those 3 balls.
I think we're going to be saying a lot of that. Ryan Brokoff, 1 from 3, 3 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes. Ryan Brokoff, 8 minutes, 2 from 6.
I think that's what he's there to do. Yeah. And I think that's how he's going to fit the team. That's how Carlisle coaches as well. That's the way he runs his offense. Yeah. Specific guys doing specific things, and the key guys doing what they need to do. But against this Suns team, man, I watched it live, and I turned it on just sort of towards the end when Dallas had nearly tied the game up. And I thought, oh, it's a game here. It's nice. Let's watch the end of this.
Enter Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker just went mental.
Fuck, man. He went mental against Philly last year. That dude, the hand injury mustn't have slowed him down because he can't fucking shoot the ball.
I didn't think he was back. Like, I didn't even know he was back.
Yeah, it mustn't have been that bigger operation. But he's essentially the Kobe Bryant of the new generation.
Yeah. And even last year, man, watching his highlights, it was just knocking down shots, shooting from everywhere, dropping 70 points when he felt like it. So I think he's going to be like, now that kind of makes sense. Like we did the preseason, sort of going, what's going, like this is a lineup that's not cooked yet. Yeah. Why are they adding these stars? That kind of doesn't make sense. That's a bit weird. But now that Devin Booker's playing
Ariza was playing a role,
then it starts to go, oh, okay, if Devin Booker can do this every night, then maybe they've got something.
Ayton looks legit. Like he can shoot an elbow, backs down well, defends well. That's the other thing, I think when you have the number 1 draft pick and he actually performs, which he looks like he's doing, maybe the Suns are a little bit of a chance. But I mean, it's a deep season, and we just started. And Ariza started off where he left off at Houston. He can knock down the 3 ball so well. And that gave them a big boost in that game as well. But Dennis Smith Jr. was really disappointing in this game, I have to say.
Yeah, Doncic was a bit all over the place as well.
First game jitters maybe. I think from Dennis Smith Jr.'s like preseason against against Philly, he didn't look overly enthusiastic. Worth
worrying about?
Nah. I think we'll get something out of him, but it's not. It's early days. Maybe some early jitters. Shall we move on to the next game?
Yes.
Bulls and 76ers. This game was hilarious. I think Zach LaVine and the Bulls got out to such a flying start, but I don't think they understand the word defense in English.
Nah.
They can't.
The Bulls.
Yeah, Bulls. Yeah. Just don't know how to defend. I think Philly locked them down to 17 points in the second quarter. They went cold, and that was it. The game was over. Simmons was a beast. Triple-double, first of the season, 13, 12, 11, a steal and 2 blocks.
Yeah, beast.
Landry Shamet came out and shot really well. Cove shot well and stole well. Embiid's just a beast, 30 points, 12 from 14 on the line. They just couldn't defend him.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of...
they were sending him to the line Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Rollo.
this is going to be a match. No, it wasn't. He just fucking monstered him.
Typical Rollo.
Yeah, Fultz came out in the fourth quarter and, took it and stepped up and hit that three, and you would have thought Philly had just won the fucking league. They're really behind him.
Yeah, that was his first three, wasn't it?
First three in the season, and he looked really good. And yeah, he would, every time they scored, they're up on their feet cheering for him.
I love that, it's such a good feeling to not even worry about what's happening. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Let's just cheer this guy because we're watching our team and we love our team. Cheer the guy.
Yeah.
And then turn around to Bayless and just boo the shit out of him when he doesn't make buckets. But man, I love that.
You've cost us a star player because of your $8 million shitty contract. Fucking Bayless.
But if you didn't
Fucking
support
Brian Colangelo.
if you didn't support Philly, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the wider audience of watchers NBA, they watch through the lens of their own team, and they don't really see what's happening on other teams. They kind of just see whatever they see. That's why I like this Fultz story. Like, it's great to me that he is getting revered by his own fans
and team.
Yeah, and the team, they love him as well. They love it, and I like that, man. I think regardless of how good or bad he's going to be, and the narratives and the constant, is he going to shoot? Is he not going to shoot? Oh no, he didn't shoot. Like, I still see them love him and just think, nah, fuck it, who cares? Yeah, they love him. That's great. I like that in general. But yeah, the Bulls, man, just don't know what they're doing this season. Zach LaVine, 30 points.
Tank City, bitch.
11 of 19, minus 10 on the night.
Yeah, they just don't understand how defense works. You're not meant to hit the player when he goes up for the shot. I think they hit Redick about 10 times when he's going up for the three ball. It was fucking stupid. They're so bad, the Bulls, and they're a young team, and I think that they've just not focused. They all score pretty well, but they're just not focused on the defensive end, and it's your defensive end that's going to win you games. If you're going to lock down
Justin
players.
Holiday, minus 27 in 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Far out.
Just bad.
So I think like where Embiid is going to really feast is against these shitty teams.
He'll be sent to the line 15 times a night.
And that's where I think if he plays really powerfully against these teams and kind of absorbs how he plays against these teams and tries to translate it to the bigger teams who have a proper scheme for him and the better forwards that can defend him. That's where I think he's going to be a lot better in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If he can take some of these lessons, learn them and use them in the playoffs, as opposed to last year, it felt like he was coming from that injury. It was a bit raw. Kind of struggled a little bit. Yeah. There was these little things that were kind of getting in his way. But I still think he needs to move a lot more. Get rolling a lot more, get into the game a lot more.
I think he is trying to.
And I feel like that's happening.
He's faster in transition, definitely this season, and getting back. He's much better at getting back on the defense. He's playing more minutes,
yeah.
But I think when you're lucky, when you take him out, you've got Amir Johnson giving you minutes, and Amir Johnson, if not one thing, is a fantastic lockdown defender.
Yeah,
doesn't have to score you any points, but he can lock you down. And that's all you need. And I think Brett Brown has just built a fantastic roster.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the year where these points were going to come from, and they picked Landry Shamet at 26, and he's just gone, right, you learn how Redick does his business, and then you copy Redick.
Yeah,
and that's what he does. He comes off the curl and shoots.
Yeah, that's going to suit him because he's a good knockdown shooter, and he's got the length.
He's 6'5". Yeah, so essentially, if they can factor in this Redick clone. And when you're playing a Boston in a series and Redick is, not giving you the defensive minutes, let's throw Chandry in there. Shaman, sorry.
Chandry.
We'll call him Chandry. There he is. His combined name is Chandry.
Chandry Lamet.
Chandry Lamet. Pig Latin name. But it's good to see Cove knocking down some shots, even though they were a little bit more than I would have liked to have seen at a lower percentage. Philly looked good. Redick looked good. Saric starting to get back into some form, which is good to see. And, very, very happy with that win.
I wonder if Saric has got a bit of an injury.
No, he played a lot for Croatia in the offseason, and he's a bit tired.
There might have been something there.
Yeah.
Looks a bit tired, looks a bit lethargic.
Yeah, played a lot for the national team. There's a lot of, it wasn't like our guys that played 2 games for some fun, and he'd been playing a long season and then went to play for the national team. And that's what they do. You know, they're very patriotic. And so he's a bit tired, and Brett Brown probably will rotate him, not give him as much minutes. But, you know, still getting back into it, hitting down some shots, and especially against the Magic, which we will wrap on Wednesday.
Yep. That happened today, yeah.
Yeah, that happened today. Today's games will wrap Wednesday. Boston and the Raptors. Raptors beat Boston. So I think Raptors really taking that top seed potentially for the East 3-zip. Baines did not shoot awfully well, but rebounded okay and had a block. Kawhi Leonard getting back to some pretty good form. 31 points, 10 rebounds. Serge Ibaka really, really played well. Boston, again, just too many people on a team, too many minutes here. You know, guys that are playing like 12, 15, 18, 26. There's not 5 guys playing 30 plus minutes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit jam-packed, and I think, I don't really know what they're going to do. Hayward's still not up there scoring particularly well either, and still having to give him some minutes.
Yeah, I think they've got a bit of a tough schedule too. They started with Philly, and then I think this was their second game, wasn't it? That's a tough start. Philly and then Toronto, and then they just played New York today, which was another tough-ish game. They struggled a little bit, but I think you're right. They're trying to jam people in. It is the start of the season, man. Like
they'll get an injury and then it'll all come good. To be honest with you, someone will get injured, be like, "Oh yeah, sweet, now it works perfectly."
Yeah, and that sucks too. That's a terrible feeling to have. But at the same time, I feel like Hayward's just trying a little bit hard, but they'll work it out. I can see them being able to work it out because they're a team that can work these sorts of things out, and they showed last year that they can. But obviously, you want. Well, not really. You want Hayward and Kyrie Irving playing well by the end of the season.
Yeah,
that's where I think a few of these teams that it's not going to matter. Like it's a tinkering ground. The regular season, these guys are pretty much locked in to finish at the top of the East.
Yeah,
for some of them, it's pride based that they want to finish in the top seeds. But
you want to get home court advantage. That's really for the first round. You want to get home court advantage. After that, well. It's the luck of the draw, really, because someone's got to always be above you. But for first round, I think that's where most of these teams are. They want to get out of the first round and take it from there.
But at the end of the day, there's no consequences really for not finishing in the top. Like you know what I mean? Like they still make the playoffs, and as long as they're all healthy, it doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
And I think a few of these teams are starting to realize, we just need to get to the playoffs healthy, and that's what matters.
Yeah, no one really cares if you win 80 games out of 82.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever remembers that. It's the rings they remember.
Yeah, except when the Warriors lost.
Yeah, after a 73-9 season. All right, next games, Pacers and Bucks. Thon's still out. Delhi getting 4 minutes of garbage time. I think he got like an assist in that game.
Yeah.
1 assist. So that was towards the end, obviously, with everyone off the field against the Pacers. Giannis, 26 points, 15 rebounds. What a beast.
I did have, let's talk about Giannis, but we kind of did talk about Giannis before. Just the weirdness of him being so just gangly in the lane. It's weird.
Very strange.
But they put up 47 3-pointers in this game. It was like the Rockets. So a franchise record 47 3-pointer
Maybe they're just thinking, well, the Rockets got to the playoffs by just hoiking up shots. Maybe we'll give it a crack.
I think it'll help them. It's going to help them because they were really low. I think they were like third last or something in 25th they ranked in 3-point attempts last year. And that was one of the biggest problems they had is they couldn't get open 3-pointers for these players. And you've got guys like Middleton in the team, Brogdon can knock down shots. Even Bledsoe's chipping in with the odd 3 here and there.
Yeah.
Thon Maker, when he's on the court, will be able to knock down open 3s. So it's good that they're actually making opportunities to knock down 3s, at the very least.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the coaching is coming in and getting guys out of the way. Lopez obviously can space the floor and hit a 3 from outside, which is important. But they just christened their new arena the Fiserv Forum. I had a look at some of the shots of that arena. Man, it's a nice arena.
Yeah.
In the middle of downtown Milwaukee. But
they look like a bit of a threat to the East this year potentially. The Bucks.
It still feels like Philly, like they're there, but they're not really quite there yet. Like
they're not good.
We'll know how good you are in crunch time. Don't you worry about that type of thing. Whereas you look at Boston and Toronto and go, oh, we know they're going to come through with something in crunch time. But with Philly
Except
and
if they play the
Bucks,
Cavs.
yeah, well, the Cavs aren't there anymore.
No.
If they play the Bucks and Philly still look a bit like, oh, we've still got to find out what you can prove. Like, you know what I mean? You don't feel the same way as them, but I still think the Bucks look scary, man. They look like they could, if they can work it all out and Giannis can just go on this monster tear, there's an MVP and definitely a high finish in the East in it for them. Middleton looks pretty good. It's early days. Giannis wants that MVP because if he gets the MVP and stays in Milwaukee, you get the Supermax.
Yeah.
I think he's Defensive Player of the Year, actually, but he's passing a lot more, and that's really important. It's just weird, man. It's weird watching him.
It's weird how you have to like get this title in order to get the max money.
Yeah, but
that's
just
strange.
how it is.
I know, but it's just weird. All right. But moving on to the Jazz Warriors. Wow, what a game. What a finish.
Last game. Yeah.
Jonas Jabrasco, as I call him. What's his actual name?
Jonas Jerebko.
Jerebko. It just sounds like Jabrasco. He's one of the Jonas brothers or some shit. I don't know.
Former Utah Jazz last year.
Oh, that's right. He played
now
for the Jazz.
The Warriors. So that meant a lot to him, I think. During the game, watching it, he was very chummy with some of the Utah players. And I think both of these teams have a lot of respect for each other. Which
there's no animosity between these teams. It's just good basketball. Like they're not chirpy.
There was a little tiny bit. Like with Draymond, there's always a little bit.
Yeah, but Draymond just talks shit to everyone.
Yeah.
Except I think it was Kobe. He talked shit to Kobe and Kobe just told him to shut up and so he never talked shit to him again.
Because I think it felt like Jerebko was like a conduit of good intentions and goodwill between the two teams. Because there was a little bit of chippiness to it, but I don't think the Jazz are really that kind of chippy team that's going to get in your face.
Unless it's Ingles. Ingles has a bit of... It's only if it's Paul George. Gets in Paul George's face pretty well.
Yeah. So Gobert and Draymond got into it a few times, but I don't feel like Gobert's that kind of guy who really wants to scrap with people. Like it's not his thing. Which...
You can just like pick them up with one hand anyway or just stick his hand over their heads and crush it.
Yeah.
Slender man.
But, yeah, Joe Ingles, fantastic again, man.
Knocking that bank shot 3 third quarter.
Yeah, just off the running down court buzzer
beater. Oh, man, fuck. 7 from 11. Like, this dude, like... How does like this guy come out of nowhere and be lanky and just shoot like this? Like he, what's he 30 something now? Like just having
turned 30,
just turned 30, just having career year from obscurity, just playing for the Jazz, and then just like, all right, now I can just hit 30 points a game. Like up until last season, I don't think he'd scored above 20 before last season, and now a 25, 30 point game is just the norm.
Yeah,
I'll just hit.
He can knock down threes at such a good clip.
Yeah,
and plus he can run that offense with Gobert, like run the pick and roll with Gobert and Favors. And they've just got so much more options too. They've got Donovan Mitchell on the outside and they can swing it back to Ingles in the corner. You can run to a corner. Crowder played pretty well.
Alex Burks.
Yeah, Alex Burks has been playing fantastic for them as well.
Hitting everything.
Rudy Gobert, I think, defensively, he was all right in this game. Man, I don't know how, but Draymond Green seems to just destroy these 7-foot centers. Like, I don't know how he does it. It's insane. He's only 6'7". I think he's 6'6", 6'7" in shoes.
Yeah.
But he just destroys these 7-foot centers. I don't know how the hell he does it.
Gets in there,
like, he did it to Capella in the Houston series last year. But I don't... Like, it's crazy, man.
Learn from the best. Learn from Bogut.
That's
that's
sure.
the number one thing.
So Gobert got to the line. He shot 8 of 11. But Ingles, 10 of 15 from the field, 7 of 11 from 3, 4 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I can't remember who he blocked.
It's a bad day when you get blocked by Ingles.
Yeah, it feels like I should know that until tell everyone who he blocked. I'll look that up while we're talking. 27 points, a fantastic night for him. It's a shame they didn't get up. Like,
I think they probably deserve to get up. I think that it really was the KD and Steph Curry show. I think the Warriors the Jazz put in more of a team effort. But again, they got a lucky roll, man, because that tip in at the end could have gone anywhere. It was he slashed his arm upwards. There was no directional control from that. That was just a bit of a lucky.
It was kind of like Gobert boxing him out and pushing him. kind of gave him the bump that was needed to knock the ball as well.
So,
but Exum,
man, getting some good minutes and scoring well, getting to the rim well, and really being able to kick out quite well and work it.
It was a win-win situation for me. Obviously, it didn't bother me who won this game. It's early enough in the season so that it doesn't really matter if the Warriors lose. And at the same time, I kind of wanted the Jazz to win, so we had something good to talk about for the Jazz. So it was kind of it sucked a little bit that they lost. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to really affect them over the long term. Like, I think they'd be more happy knowing that they just played a 124-123 game against the Warriors and really took them to the brink.
They know in a 7-game series, it's going to be a coin flip potentially. Cool. So we move on to our last game of the round.
No, I think that was the last game.
Oh, it is the last game. Yeah.
So the games that happened today, we'll do on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll wrap on Wednesday. Orlando, Philly, Celtics, Knicks, and Spurs as well. Portland, I think.
And Joe Ingles blocked Kevin Durant's 20-foot pull-up shot.
Jesus.
5:10 to go in the fourth quarter.
There we go.
There you go. And that must be one of the very few times Durant's been blocked.
Yeah. Just a little bit of an update as well. Ben Simmons went down in the game today with back soreness and played 7 minutes and was out. Didn't look like he just kind of went off. Didn't look like he pulled anything. He just maybe a bit stiff, bit sore. He's out, and Baines did his hamstring. Yeah. We'll get some injury updates on Wednesday of timelines of return.
Yep.
And we will be back Wednesday with the full wrap up, the rest of round one.
Yeah. Oh, just the update of some of the games. It's just kind of rolling season. There's just so many games and games and games and
games. But we'll wrap out the rest of the games. We'll call this 0.5. We'll call that 1.
Yeah.
And then 1.5 and 2 and 2.5. But remember, like, share, and subscribe. If you've gotten this far, please subscribe to us, our channel. YouTube, you can find us on Aussies Taking Over the NBA or on iTunes and SoundCloud and Podcast Addict, and AusNBA Takeover on Twitter
and Facebook everywhere else. Just Google Aussies Taking Over the NBA because we're getting some hits.
We're getting some likes, which is excellent. And if you want to go back to any of our season previews, you can find all our season previews on YouTube as well. Also, if you are interested in NBL and live in Sydney, we do a podcast called On the King's Dime. You can find that YouTube, iTunes, and Podcast Addict. All right, guys, we will see you back on Wednesday for full wrap up of the rest of round one. And we'll take it from there. But until then,
peace.
See ya.
Oh, don't forget, Deng Adele and Mish Creek also got waived.
Yes. Yeah, they got waived. So that they potentially could be in the G League. We'll give you any updates. G League starts 2nd of November. So, once we understand what they are doing, and we're happy to update you on all their G League stats for the rest of the season.
For sure.
Potentially getting some 2-way contracts if there's injuries.
No problemo. Thank you. I've canned the Europe podcast as well.
The shortest podcast series ever, IE1. I think the pick and roll does something pretty similar. That's why we decided to can that.
Yeah, but I'm still going to watch games and try and follow it some more. And then we'll do, like, during the year, we'll do maybe who can make the NBA or NBA prospects and stuff like that.
Cool.
We'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. All right, guys.
All right.
Peace out.